Hey everyone, welcome on to Branded. Today's episode is all about creating your brand's signature style. And we're going to talk a little bit about why it matters and how to build one, right? Because we can sit here and talk all day about creating a signature style, but if we don't really have a path forward on how to really make that happen for ourselves, then the idea just becomes stagnant, right? So we're talking about something today that really can make your brand magnetic, right? And it doesn't have to be flashy. It's not complicated. It's actually a little bit simple, right? Creating your signature look and feel doesn't have to be complicated. And don't worry, I'm not going to like throw a bunch of brand jargon at you. Honestly, I usually don't even speak that way in general. I love to be able to be as relatable as possible because I'll give you a good example actually. I was at my OBGYN recently and he's new. I've been going to a lady for the last couple of years and I switched over to try somebody new. And I loved the way he was presenting information to me. It was so relatable. He was grabbing like old textbooks, utilizing images, while having the conversation with me. And that's exactly what these podcasts like, that's sort of the vibe. Excuse me, that's the vibe I'm going for. I want these podcasts to be incredibly relatable and actionable for you to be able to just go and do the work that you love to do and feel supported, that maybe you've got a little bit of gained insight or education or, whatever it is that you get from these. So, we're not going to talk about a bunch of brand jargon. We're going to do it as relatable as possible. And we're going to think about it in a way um, that we think about our healthy habits. So this is why this is going to make sense to you because I know, especially all the women out there, we always are thinking about our healthy habits and we're overcomplicating them. Guess what? We're doing the same thing with our brand. We're overcomplicating it. It really can be as simple as establishing healthy habits in our day-to-day life. That's how we can build a signature style in our brand. So it's the simple and the relatable habits that we do that actually create the change. So, branding is quite literally like your habits. It will start to reflect the things that you were pouring into it. Think about this. Have you ever committed to like drinking 100 ounces of water a day or going on a daily walk or doing something like small little change in your food, like cutting out a little bit of sugar or adding in more veggies, whatever it is? But you have these habits, right? You tell yourself, okay, I'm going to do this new healthy habit. I'm going to add it into my routine. And at first, none of it feels like it's making a fucking difference, right? Day one of drinking 100 ounces of water, all you're thinking about is how many times you had to go pee. You're not thinking about the benefit of how your body is craving that much water, right? And so none of it feels all that important at first. But when you stick with it, what you start to notice is, oh, I'm all of a sudden feeling better. Oh, my sleep is better. Oh, I've been drinking 100 ounces of water a day and my skin looks like glowing. I don't look all like dried out, like a dried out raisin. And so you start showing up better. You start showing up for yourself, for your family better, right? All these healthy habits, something as little as drinking enough water a day, when you repeat, when you do that habit over and over and over again, it creates really massive and like noticeable change in your life. And of course, the tricky thing to remember here is you can't ever just do it once. You have to have the consistency in that healthy habit in order for it to really stick and evolve into just something that's second nature for you. Your brand and the signature elements that you utilize in your brand are exactly the same. They might feel small and insignificant, but I'm telling you, you continue to repeat the things that are working and the things that feel really aligned to you, and you'll start noticing things are just working out, right? You're like, oh, that is what I meant to do. It might have been 6 months ago that it was the intention that you wanted to achieve it, but things take time. And things don't just happen overnight, as much as we would love that to be the case sometimes. So that's what happens, right? You give your body these consistent, healthy habits and they start to work. And your brand is exactly the same way. It's not about having the fanciest logos or perfecting your reels and being like, top influencer style reels. It's not about that. It's about the small intentional choices that you're making consistently, right? Using the same color palette when you're posting things on your IG grid, using the same color palette on your website, wearing your color palette, right? If you're out and about at like a business conference, you're doing some networking event, you're going to do a photo shoot for yourself, your color palette is infused in all the things that have to do with your brand because it creates that consistency and that cohesion that people are just automatically sort of scanning for, right? They're not really looking for it, but they will start to notice it sort of subconsciously because it's just there and it's always there. So it's always available. It becomes like this very trustworthy thing that they know they're going to come across and they're going to see it and they're going to recognize it. And so, you know, comparing this to like your daily habits, this could be like taking your supplements every morning, right? This could be like having water before you have coffee every morning. So think about your branding signature style as your healthy habits because you're building them every single day, not just once a week when you have the time to work on your business, but every time you pop in and you respond to a DM or you go into Canva and you create something for future work that you're about to do, understanding that something as simple as your color palette and keeping it really consistent helps create that signature style for you. Another really super simple one is choosing fonts. Choosing the same fonts, utilizing them sort of in the same way. Think of it as like your go-to breakfast items, right? My go-to breakfast these days has been a smoothie with loads of spinach and fruits and protein and all of that. That's my version, right, of using the same fonts all the time. I know that every time I go in to create something in Canva, to write an email, to update something on my website, I'm going to use the same fonts in the same way. So I have one that I like to use for all of my sort of headers and titles. And then I have one that I love to use for the body and sort of just the meat of whatever it is I'm trying to say. And you want these fonts to feel familiar to you. You want them to feel legible, right? Visible. You want them to be easy to read. There's a couple fonts that I've loved and I've sort of transitioned through in my brand over the last couple of years. And some of them were absolutely perfect for like headlines. But then when I tried to use it in any other way, it just looked really messy or didn't really make sense. Or maybe it was a little too unique of a font, like it had too many little accent pieces in it that it just didn't make sense to be a font. It was really more of like a statement piece. And so I ended up dropping that font and shifting into something different because I really couldn't utilize that font to its fullest capacity if I could only use it one way. I wanted to be able to have a multi-purpose sort of thing. So it's okay to change up your fonts. Quite honestly, some of these fonts that have been around forever, like I've started noticing some of their quality for whatever reason. Maybe it's just because I'm seeing all sorts of other styles out there now, but it just doesn't hit as hard, right? It just doesn't have the impact it used to have. I was working on some stuff for a client recently, and we were talking back and forth about some fonts. And I'm like, I just am not sure if it's as impactful as I want it to be for this particular medium that we're trying to showcase your business on. Because you have to understand, right, that what you showcase your business on, like Instagram versus your website, those are two different mediums of like presenting information. And so, how you present the information sometimes can be lost in translation if it's like a legit copy paste scenario. Sometimes it kind of has to be woven into the fabric of like what that platform can really support. So, what works on your website may have to be scaled down or a little bit different on something like Instagram, but having a font on all your graphics and things like that that you design in Canva, keep them really cohesive. Like pick two, three at the most. You don't need any more than that. Like I said, your signature style doesn't have to be complicated, you guys. Another really simple way to create that signature style for yourself is creating content with the same tone. and visual energy. So just like when you decide you're going to go for a morning walk every day or, a walk sometime in the middle of the day, it shapes how people are experiencing you. Just like going for that walk every day is shaping your healthy habit into something that's making you feel amazing. When you utilize the same content, tone of voice, and visual energy, that creates the experience that people are looking for, right? They come to your brand and they immediately sort of recognize it and they see the tone that you're using. Maybe it's humorous and a little bit sassy, and you have visuals that are like bright and punchy, right? Is that the experience you're looking to provide to people? Is the tone much more like luxury, elevated, exclusive, and all your visual elements are sort of moody and classic, um, maybe even vintage looking, right? With like certain filters. So deciding for yourself, what's that tone of voice and what's that visual energy that I'm going to be portraying, because that's really the experience that people are going to start having. When you like have these visual habits for your brand, let's say, right? Instead of healthy habits, we'll call them like visual habits or brand habits. You show up in your business over and over and over again in a much more consistent way. People start to feel something, they start to actually resonate with it. And then you become memorable. They start to remember your brand, because that's the whole point, right, of building a business. You want to be seen, you want to be heard, but ultimately you want to be remembered, because people aren't buying right now all the time. Sometimes they're coming back after a week of thinking about it, or maybe they went on a vacation and they just didn't have the time to like close the sale. You want them to be able to come back and be remembered, right? So, what does a signature look and feel like? What does it really mean? We're going to define it a little bit. Your brand's look and feel is basically its vibe, right? It's the vibe that you have. And your signature vibe is very much like your daily wellness routine. It should reflect who you are and how you want to feel and what you want to create. So think about this. Like, that's why I loved this metaphor when I was putting this episode together and I was thinking about your brand signature style. And at first, I had an example about utilizing Coca Cola, the brand, as they have this signature style. It's everywhere. It's never really changed in the last, like, I don't know, 50 years or something. But when I was really thinking about it, I'm like, that's not quite as relatable as something like healthy habits, something like a wellness routine, a morning routine, right? What do we do? Our own self care. These are all things that have been talked about so much these last 5 years. Post pandemic, it's like at the top of everybody's mind. And so when I was thinking about creating this episode, it's like, you know what? Creating your signature style and how simple some of these things are, that when they work and you just repeat them, it is quite literally like your wellness routine. It becomes second nature. It is a reflection of who you are, right? Like, I don't get up at 5 a.m. and go work out at the gym. Why? Because that's not who I am. That is not a reflection of me. I've tried it. It sucks. And that is for some people, right? But it's not for me. So my wellness routine is a reflection of me. It is creating sustainable habits that I'll be able to repeat. Same goes with my brand. I need to create habits that I can do over and over again that feel really aligned to me and that are a reflection of me. So you see how these go hand in hand? Like, it's freaking perfect, right? So think about this. The colors that you use in your brand, that's the mood, right? That's the mood that you're setting. Think of like a mood ring. You literally, the color, if you had a mood ring as a kid, you looked at the color and it would tell you what your mood is. Now, whether it's accurate or not, right? Maybe it's a total scam. But when you're doing all your core elements for your brand, understand that the colors you are using, they're the mood that you're setting. You're right off the bat showing people, this is how I kind of want you to feel when you're looking at my stuff, right? Is it bright reds and sharp blacks and whites? And so people have this like image of, oh, this person means business. Like they've really they're trying to talk right to me. They're not, what is that mood that you're setting? I'm using like some fun neons right now and some neutrals because I want the mood to be like, ooh, that's fun, but also that's very grounded. So those are the two things that I'm really portraying with my colors right now. And look at your own stuff. Is that what you're really putting forth? What's the mood that you're creating? Is it calming? Is it bold? Is it earthy? Is it vibrant? What suits you and what your brand stands for? And think about that. Your fonts are going to be the tone of voice that you set. If you see a font that's like a crazy handwritten, kind of scribbly, fun font, that's the vibe. Scribbly, fun, spontaneous, whatever, right? If you see a font that's like big, bold, block letters, it could be something that's like, we mean business, or maybe it's corporate. What is the tone of voice that you're looking for? And it's going to reflect simply in the font that you choose to use. Is it clean and modern? Is it warm and like maybe something a little more handwritten, right? Does it feel like a personal sort of note that's been written? Is it strong and like straight lines, minimal kind of fluff around it? What's the tone that you're setting because it's reflected in your fonts? And then the images that you use, that's sort of your energy. That's a little bit deeper under the layers, right? You've got your colors setting the mood, your fonts setting the tone, and your images really setting that energetic level. Are they bright and airy images? Are they sort of more natural and grounded images? Or maybe they're like super edgy and modern. This is really these three elements, your colors, your fonts, and your images, they all come together to create that signature look and feel that people come to trust and remember if you stick to it, right? Just like your daily wellness habits, if you stick to it, they will work. So, just like your favorite habits, you're always looking for consistency, never perfection. Never perfection. Because more times than not, you're constantly evolving at least one element of that wellness routine, right? So, like, let's say you want to go for a walk every day. Day one, you try to do it at 5 a.m. and you're like, no, not happening. Day two, you're like, let's go at 7 a.m. Maybe I can handle that, right? So, there's parts of the routine that might pivot and evolve, but you're still sort of like keeping it all cohesive, keeping it all consistent, and creating something that becomes sort of signature to you because it's a reflection of you. It's a reflection of the thing you want to create, right? And when people encounter your brand, over and over, it starts to feel familiar to them because it helps, gain that trust. And this is where the magic happens, right? It's in that consistency. It's not always in the hype. Like, I cannot say that enough. The success that you achieve, it does not usually happen in the hype. It happens in the consistency, in the small moments that you are intentionally choosing to continue forward. So, why do these small visual choices really make such a big impact, right? I want to make sure that you understand here. This does not mean you have to do a full rebrand. Like, heck no, that is not what we're talking about. What really we're talking about is fine tuning the things that work really well for your brand and repeating them, doing them again and again, creating that level of consistency. And think about it like this, right? If you're trying to build strength and you go to the gym and you like are lifting weights, you're not going to switch your workouts every single day, right? You repeat the basics, you're stretching, you're maybe on the treadmill for a little bit, right? You've got these basics that you're always going to repeat. And that's what builds the results of the strength building you're doing outside of that. So think of your brand as just like it is the basics of your wellness routine. What are the colors that you're always showing up with? What type of images are you always showing up with? What's the font that you're always using? I promise you, if these three elements stay really freaking solid for you, you're going to feel so much like expansion for all the other stuff because you already have a foundation to work from and you don't even have to really think about what creating that other stuff looks like, right? You already have something to build from and it stays right in the wheelhouse of your signature style every single time. So instead of bouncing between, Canva templates that look so different and a new font every time you're trying to design something, choose the brand assets that you love and commit. When you use the same fonts again and again, it creates a stronger brand voice. When you use the same colors again and again, it creates instant recognition. When you use the same sort of tone in your images, that same sort of energetic vibe in your imagery, it creates really aligned energy. So branding that sticks is built on these really small, steady steps, just like your healthy habits. Like it becomes part of how you show up rather than something extra that you feel like you're having to do in order to show up. It's a good distinction, right? So here's 3 things that you can go do today if you want. If you want to help, like really make sure you're creating a nice cohesive brand look and feel. These 3 things you can do right now, and they're really pretty simple. Choose 2 to 3 fonts that you love. And if you don't know what fonts you love, go through all the stuff that you saved on Pinterest, on Instagram, who are the people that you follow on social channels. Think about why you like this stuff. And I guarantee some of the reason you like it is because of the colors and the fonts and the images that they're using, not even the message that they're saying. Because we only have about like 3 seconds to really capture someone's attention when they're coming across our website, our socials, whatever. Well, within those couple seconds, they may not read a single word. All of it is from feel. So choosing 2 to 3 fonts that you love, and if you don't know the answer to these things yet, I'm telling you the best way to do it is to look at the stuff that has captured your attention, because it's captured your attention for a reason. There's something very engaging about it that spoke to you. What was it? Go get curious, right? Use those fonts everywhere. Now, I wish you could change up your fonts, like actually change your fonts on social media. But whatever, I guess they keep it all cohesive. But if you're designing stuff in Canva, you have stuff on your website and, you writing emails, all the things, use 2 to 3 of the same fonts and just keep it really consistent. Your headers, your subtext, like taglines, all that stuff. Just keep using the same healthy habit that works really well for your brand because it's going to be recognized and remembered. Another thing that you could do right now is just go pick 3 to 5 brand colors. Then stick to them, like put them everywhere. All the brand colors. And I'm not saying, okay, here's a really good distinction actually when it comes to brand colors. You could have, let's say, a palette of 5, 6 colors. You don't need that many, but if you had a palette of like 5 or 6 colors, you don't have to use all of those colors all of the time. But I would suggest using those colors, like one of those colors, all the time. So you don't need all 6 in every single design that you do, but if you pick 2, right? And then maybe something else, you pick a different 2. So you'll notice, like, if you wanted to go to my Instagram feed and see, I'm currently in the process of like transitioning my grid to look a little different. But you can see if you scroll a little bit, I've got a couple brand colors that are sort of just extras. I like them. I don't use them a lot. I tried to integrate them more into my daily sort of content that I was creating, and they just didn't land. They're just accent colors. They're not my core brand element colors. And I know that now because I tried to do something with them, right? I took action. I stayed consistent with it. And then I got the result that presented itself to me. It just didn't work quite right. So I removed 2 of those colors from stuff that I do all the time. And I really am just sticking to like black, white, this sort of neon yellow, and just a tan. color. That coral color that I was throwing in every so often, it's super fun, but I started to recognize it was kind of hard to read on socials. Like it just bled a little bit, the color, and it just didn't pop the way I wanted to. But it's a great accent color if I want to use and that anywhere else and have sort of this sort of soft orange coral color that's still bright, but not as bright as something like a neon highlighter yellow. So understanding about yourself, like you can have a brand palette that has a bunch of colors in it that you love that do actually work really well together, but deciding when I'm creating this thing that I'm creating today, I don't have to use all 6 colors, but let me make sure and use at least 2, right? Let me make sure and use at least some of my brand foundation and nothing else because I'm not trying to confuse people. I'm trying to make a really solid signature look and feel. And then the third thing that you could do, like right now today, I created a simple brand style guide for you. It's a fill in the blank scenario that has little prompts. So these questions that we were just talking about, what are the fonts that you're using? What are the colors that you're using? What do you want people to feel when they're engaging with your brand? These types of questions, it's a one pager. It's so freaking simple and to the point. So go download that. It's just a style guide and it's going to prompt you through having all this information in one place, essentially. And this can be really useful not only for you, but if you hire out anything like any other work, you could essentially send this sheet, this style guide to somebody that you're working with and say, hey, this is my style guide. These are the colors I like to use. These are the fonts I'm using. This is how I intend my, message to be presented. Go do the work, right? I hire you now. Go do it. But if you're doing it too, save this somewhere. Fill it in and have it saved so you can reference it. I'm telling you, I forget what the hex codes are on my colors all the time. I don't remember those things. I have too many other things to remember. But what I do know is where to find that information, right? I created my brand inside of Canva with the right hex color codes, so I can always go there and find them. I also have them listed on like my notes app, so I can always go there and find them. Because when you're doing certain projects, sometimes you need to know that information. You can't just be like, oh, it's green. What kind of green? There's like thousands and thousands of types of green, right? You need to know that hex code, and it's like the hashtags with the numbers, if you don't know what I'm talking about. If you're in Canva designing stuff, if you click on the little bubble of the color and you go over to the left and you click on the bubble again, it'll pop up and the hex code will show up right there for you. And that's how you just grab it, just copy and paste it. And it makes it so freaking simple to be able to access this information later down the road. So go download the super simple style guide. It will be useful for you 100%. One of my clients, the first thing she did whenever we started working together, like well over a year ago, she sent me a style guide. And guess what I did? I saved it. And guess what still happens when I'm putting together her emails? I reference it if I need to, right? It's got her fonts, it's got her color codes, it's got her logos, and it's got like the direction, right? The vibe of what she's looking to achieve with all of her messaging. And that was incredibly helpful for me as the person designing and putting together all this stuff. So this style guide is going to be useful for you or for anyone you hire. It's super simple. You just fill it out. It keeps your brand consistent, clean, and aligned to your vision. So if you go to socialjanemedia.com/style guide, I'll put the link here as well. But that's the URL, just socialjanemedia.com/style guide, and you can download it. You'll get an email with the simple download. So here's the thing to remember. Just simplify, refine, and trust that consistency, even the small stuff that seems incredibly insignificant, like, a color that you're choosing or a font that you're choosing, it really does create that lasting and magnetic brand that you want. And you don't have to do everything at once, right? As always, start with one thing and just repeat what works. So just like your favorite habits, your morning routine or your favorite pair of leggings, consistency builds the trust. So keep doing the things that you see working. Keep doing them. It will create the consistency. It will compound and create the result that you are looking for. And if it doesn't, guess what else it's going to create? Knowledge. Knowledge that maybe it's time to pivot. Maybe something isn't working the way you intended it to, just like that coral color. I stuck with it. I stayed consistent. I was putting that all over my social media. And then after a couple months, I decided this isn't hitting the way I want it to. This just is not landing. And so, without guilt, I pivoted. It didn't present the result that I wanted it to, but I did learn something. And now I've shifted and I'm still on the path using my core brand elements just without some of the extra fluffy pieces that I thought maybe I could throw into the mix. They just wasn't right for it. So trust that what you're building every day, even the small stuff that feels like it doesn't fucking matter, it matters. It's building your brand. It's building that signature style and look for you. So thanks for hanging out with me today. If you have any like business bestie partner that maybe needs to hear something like this, your brand signature style does not have to be super complicated. Send this episode to them, right? Tag them or something. I will put the style guide in the show notes for you so you can easily download that. And I would love to hear any feedback or, reviews that you guys might have because these episodes are all for you. I'll see you next week. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to Branded, the podcast. Please rate and review. And for more information, visit socialjanemedia.com. I'll see you soon.